Hello, my name is Ronnie Rocha. I wanted to do my discussion in video form just because it's kind of like a get to know yourself. You can see me right off the bat and get to know me right now. So if you're going to judge, you can judge by my voice and my the way I look. But no, just to tell you a little bit about myself, I've turned 50 years old this year. And so kind of a little older than most, probably. I live in Arlington, Texas, and that is home of the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, I am a Cowboy fan. I've been married 20 years. It's my second marriage, but I've been married 20 years. I have 5 kids, ranging from 17 to 30. I'm involved in coaching. I coach youth sports. I've always considered myself a youth coach before a baseball coach. I coach baseball, but it's mainly for the psychological part of it, and I'll kind of get into that a little bit. My degree is in child and adolescent psychology with a concentration in sociology. And what I'm going to do with that degree is I'm going to work with a lot of kids in youth sports, and it's more the mindset and the things they learn from sports, the things to take away from sports, not so much as just wanting to be the best. It's about being, a great teammate, what you get out of sports, how to be a good winner, as opposed to how to be a good loser. So a lot of those things like that. I do suffer from ADD or ADHD, however you want to, whichever one it is that's just really hyperactive. I've tended to slow down since I'm a lot older now, but it does affect my learning. I did really well in my first 2 classes. It's hard to concentrate, but it's not impossible. And I want to prove that, you can do it. It's just harder, and that's okay. And so, like I said, I found out between the classes that I had before that there's a lot of us out there. So, hey, we're no longer the minority, right? So the whole class is about sustainability issues. As you can tell, I get tongue-tied. And I guess probably the one that interests me the most is, you won't see on a lot of lists, is the education of youth. And yeah, that does have to do with my field of study. Education of youth, I think, is really going away. And I'm a kind of person that don't believe that right and wrong are almost matters of an opinion. There are moral, right and wrongs, but it's up to us as parents to educate our children for the world ahead of us. One of the things I teach is to my kids and to anyone else that the game's always been the same. It's the same game it always is. A lot of these kids, when they're about 16, 18 years old, feel that it's different than when you were younger. Things are totally different. I try to tell the kids it's the same game it's always been. The pieces look different, the colors look different, the board even looks different. It's not. It's the same game that it's been before time, as the beginning of time. And so that's why it's important to educate our youth to prepare for that game. It does change a little bit, with the technology, especially over the last 100 years. But it's very important for us to get our kids educated on the things they really need to know about. That's why that sustainable issue to me is one of the most important. Educating our youth, on how to treat people. There's the golden rule of treat others the way you would want to be treated. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people have, and the way we've lived is, it's kind of gone to the Disney's Aladdin version when he says, the guy says, the golden rule, he who has the gold makes the rule. That's kind of what it seems like it's getting to, and I really would like to get our youth on the right track of still treating people fairly and nicely and politely. Teach our kids some problem-solving abilities, how to overcome things, overcome fears, overcoming, obstacles, and to be patient and figure it out. I've always was taught that you can figure out anything. I mean, anything can be figured out. You just have to be patient and learn and figure it out. Everything can be done. And a lot of times I've proven to my kids you can do those things. And I'll go on more examples a lot later. But another one is how to take care of themselves. The personal hygienes, the positivity, how to stay positive, because they're going to be on their own. And you don't want, it's not so much as being more mature, it's just how to take care of themselves, how to feed for themselves, how to, the importance of an income, importance of prioritizing. So that's one of the things that kind of also goes on to my next issue of about taking responsibility, taking ownership of the things you do. One of the things I teach is every action has a reaction and sometimes a consequence. And so it's very important that we teach these kids that there are consequences. I think that it's changing a lot. A lot of kids growing up now are realizing that the consequences aren't fitting what they do. There's no consequences. Very little that people feel that, like free speech, that they can just completely say anything with no consequence or no repercussions. And we need to kind of go back to saying, hey, there are some consequences when you do something. There are reactions. And that's one thing I taught my kids, and I try to teach, other kids, that every action has a reaction. Like I said, it's sometimes consequences. One of the sayings that I heard a long time ago was, always, you got to ask yourself sometimes you do something, is the juice worth the squeeze? There's a squeeze there, but is the juice worth it? Because you're going to get squeezed. You want to make sure it's worth it. And so, and just be mindful of that. Kind of what I touched on earlier was how to fail and how to get back up when you do fail. Nobody likes to fail, but life is a game of failure. So it's not so much as teaching people not how to fail, it's what to do when you do fail. There's a great speech in Rocky Balboa where he says it's not about getting hit, it's about, or it's not about how hard you hit, it's about how you get hit and you keep moving forward. You get yourself up and keep moving forward. It's a great speech that I show all my baseball teams. I've shown my kids. They know it verbatim, and I do too as well. So, but it's one of the things I'd really like for people to look into, because he said it great in there. Going back to another one was conquering fear. Fear can be a great thing as far as a certain kind of motivator, but it has an extent. It can also hurt people. Les Brown, a motivational speaker, once said, "Fear kills dreams. Fear puts people in hospitals," and that's completely true. And the child is the best way to teach how to overcome fear, how to control that, the fear. Zig Ziglar, another motivational speaker, had very well put it, and I love the way he put it, was, fear is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real, and that's excellent. I mean, if we could teach our kids that fear only goes so far, you control a lot of this. If we could teach them younger, they won't have that fear. And one of the biggest fears is a fear of failure. Once you overcome that, you can achieve so much. Once you overcome that, it's best if you learn it as a child. And these are one of the things that I really love to try to educate as many people as possible, to educate their children on that. Another thing is, everything is fixable. Okay? I always say there's no 100% in anything. A lot of people always death and taxes, but and somebody argued with me that, well, death, you can't avoid death. You can't avoid death. Well, I said, well, sort of. If you were to pass over and die and somebody performed CPR, there's a 10 to 13% chance that they could bring you back. So even that's not 100%. And so nothing's 100%. Everything is fixable. If there's a problem, depending on how you go about it, if you lose control and just get so burned up over it, it's harder to fix. If you think it's not fixable, it is. It may take some time, it may take some mending, and it might be painful sometimes, but everything's fixable. We can figure out how to fix it. And that's what, if you teach your kids how to do that, it just makes the world a better place in my opinion. Last thing I kind of teach my kids is, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And I think in the world, as our kids grow up, and I've seen a lot of the younger generation really kind of go to, I can say anything I want. I've got free speech. I can do this. I can do that. Yes, just because you can does not mean you should. Okay. The example I always use, and it's probably not the greatest example, but I'll tell people, I can call a toddler, a 2, 3, 4-year-old, and call him every name in the book. And what are the odds of him doing anything to me, beat me up, physically harm me? It's very, very, very low. Now, if I go to Mike Tyson and call him every name in the book to his face, that the percentage of him hurting me or doing something of reaction really, really rises. So just because you can doesn't mean you should. With that, I always taught my children as well as others that there's a time and a place for everything. Okay? That's what I think we're really, really, really missing. There's a time and a place for everything. In this world, everybody's getting offended by a lot of things. Everybody's, and trust me, there's reasons why people should get offended. There's definitely, I get offended by certain things. But I'm not going to go, for instance, to a comedy club and I didn't go there and then the comedian says something about my race or about my culture, about anything. And I'm not, there's no reason for me to be offended. I knew going in exactly what was expected. So that's not the place to be offended. Now, if I go to work or even to school and you start, start kind of, judging me by my race or saying bad things or anything, I could probably get a little bit more offended by that. And that's understandable. Like I said, but there's a time and a place for everything. And once we learn that, once we teach our kids these things, I think we just be better. It's better off. There's no perfect. There's no perfect example. There's no perfect therapy. There's no perfect the book that you get when you're a parent that says how to raise your children. We don't have that. So my biggest thing is to try to educate as many people, definitely their children, to get back. And education of our youth is probably my biggest sustainability issue. I still can't say that word, sustainability issue. So I look forward to this year, and I look forward to all this, and or this term. Sorry, look forward to this term, and I think I'm going to really enjoy this class, and hopefully all of you as well. So hit me up and reply. I'd love to hear any kind of reply or anything like that, and if I could help anybody, I'd really appreciate it. Thank y'all, and look forward to reading y'all's discussion.